and we are back with another video, and today we are going to replace all the fuel lines on our partner 370. I'm going to explain to you on how the fuel system actually works and replace the fuel lines. So let's get started. I've already partly stripped it down anyway. If you guys have got one of these, you'll know this is the top cover that sits over the top of the engine. Once you've got that removed, you're left with this here. It's just a matter of undoing them two bolts. You have an accelerator cable that's connected to this part here. That then connects to the carburettor. You just unhook that. Once you've removed the bolts, you'll be able to pull this forward, and then you'll be able to remove the cable out. You can tuck that out of the way because we actually don't need to access that at the minute until we put it back together. The carburettor will become loose. Obviously you've got the choke there. Literally just pull that off like so. Once you've removed the fuel lines, there's one this side and there's one this side. You can then just pull the carburettor out the way, and then you're left with this area here. Now I've already replaced one of the fuel pipes which goes down into the tank. It's a one-way system drawing fuel from the tank into the carburettor, which I believe is in this side. This side here then goes to the primer bulb, and then from the primer bulb it goes back down to the tank. The primer bulb obviously is like a primer system. It sucks the fuel through the carburettor, and then it puts the fuel back to the tank. Like I say, it'll only go one way. If you get it wrong and you put the lines on the wrong way round, then the engine won't run properly. You may get it started, but it'll cut straight out. If you'll get it started at all, to be fair. Pulled up from the tank, that's where the filter should be. On the first line, which is here, there is a stud in the way, but this is basically where the pipe comes from the tank. So it starts from here, it comes up, and obviously it's pulled through the carburettor from the primer pump. It's actually called a primer bulb, which looks like this. That's only a one-way system as well, hence why there's a long and a short. If you put that round the wrong way, it won't actually pump the fuel through. So we have a new one of them. We have a fuel filter, and then we have the lines, which, like I say, this one's already been put through, but I'm going to show you here how to get these lines into the tank. Pretty tricky because these holes are actually extremely tight. That's obviously to stop fuel leaking back up. If you tipped it sideways, it stops the fuel coming back up, so they need to be sealed basically. So they are pretty tough to get in. That would be connected to the end there, which we'll do later on. To install this new fuel pipe, just grab your pipe. So I normally find using a razor blade or standing knife blade and create a spearhead, because like I say, we're not going to need all of the pipe. Piece of wire basically is the easiest way to do it. Poke the piece of wire down through the hole, put your finger up through where you would normally put the fuel in, where the fuel cap goes, and pull the piece of wire through. And then what you want to do is try and pierce the end of that spearhead you've just created with the wire. Bend it over like that, and then with a pair of pliers, bend the end over. It's got hold of it like that. But a little bit of engine oil or WD-40, just put it on the pipe just to help with the process of getting it up through that hole. And then just gently pull that wire through till you get to that stage. You can see the spearhead now through the hole there, and just give it a little pull and you'll find it will come through like that. So that's how you feed the new piece of pipe up through the tank into where it's got to be installed. Once you're at that stage, you can now cut off the spearhead that you've made on the end of the pipe. Cut it nice and flush, ready to be installed onto the carburettor. So there you go, one end is nice and clean now, and then obviously this is the other end, which is in the tank, and obviously it's way too much on there at the minute. But the next job is obviously to get the fuel filter onto the end of that. Put a little bit of engine oil on here. It will help with the process of stretching this pipe onto the end fuel filter. There you go, all installed on the end there. Now to install this just basically just needs to sit on the bottom of the tank. So basically it just needs to sit in the bottom of there, you know, just nicely rest. So the end that you've pulled through, which is up here, just pull, keep pulling, until it sits nicely on the bottom of the tank there like that. I'll zoom in so we can get a better look at it. It's just basically sat here on the bottom of the tank. You just leave that resting down on the bottom of the tank. That's pretty much the fuel tank side done. You need to obviously repeat the process with this pipe. It's a little bit thicker, this one. Not sure why there's a thickness difference, but there is. And the kit that you can buy on eBay, which comes with the pipe, you can buy the pipe, the primer bulb and the filter. They're not expensive, they're reasonably cheap, to be fair. So the next stage of the process now is just installing the carburettor back onto the chainsaw, really. I've already installed this one. This one obviously doesn't have a filter on the end of it, because all it's doing is taking the fuel back through the carburettor and back into the tank. So it's like a one-way system. So you know that you can't go, it can't go through the opposite way. So like I say, this pipe here will go to one side of the carburettor. This pipe will go to the other side. Not sure why they're reversed on this system, but actually the inlet to the actual carburettor, that's on the right hand side of the carburettor. That's the inlet there. So the fuel comes in there, it's pulled through the actual carburettor, goes through the primer bulb and then back to the tank, basically. So all we really need to do now is just get these pipes cut to size, really, ready to be installed back to the back onto the actual carburettor. So the best way to do that is just to put the carburettor, obviously this one here, so put the carburettor back into its place, which is where it will go when it's bolted back in. So you can get measurements of the actual length of the pipe, probably there for that one. So we'll cut that one. Didn't cut that straight, so let's cut it straight. There you go. Let's see how easy it will go back on, because it's a new piece of pipe. Yeah, it's a bit tight, so a little bit of engine oil, which is actually the oil that's mixed with the fuel anyway, so put that on there. This should now slide on a lot easier. Let's give it a go and find out. You just basically keep pushing it until you're right down the end. That, like I say, it is quite tight. So that's pipe number one installed. So that's your inlet. So that's coming from the bottom of the tank that's got the fuel filter on it. It's coming back up through and going to the right side of the actual carburettor. There's one on the left here now, which we also know. Obviously you have the main pipe that's also coming from the tank. It needs to be cut to size, and then you need to make there's a small bit of pipe that's required to connect back to the carburettor. So let's do that next. So first things first, let's get the pipe cut to size. I would say probably about there, I reckon. And that goes to the long post on the primer bulb, because again, if you get these wrong way round, it won't work. That primer bulb will only work one way, so they'll only push fuel through it one way. We now need to work out what we need to come back out to the carburettor. So again, let's get this pipe on the end of the primer bulb like that. Sit the primer bulb in where it's going to be, and then we can work out how much we need to go back. It's only a very small bit of pipe we need, so I'm going to say that much there. Let's come back probably about that much, so let's chop that. And then that obviously goes to the left side of the carburettor. You can actually take the carburettor off to install it. like so. So that's now all of the fuel pipes connected. So we can now sit this back into its location and just check that everything is good, which it looks to me all looks spot on. Then once obviously that's done, the first thing to reinstall is the actual primer bulb. And that's how you replace the fuel lines on your chainsaw. And to be fair, they're all pretty much similar. They're all, you know, this is a partner 370 chainsaw, but they're all very much the same. To be fair, the system is the same. So there you go. That's how you install your fuel lines if they need replacing. Hope that was helpful, and we'll put it all back together and see if she works. I'd like to thank everyone for watching the video. If you found it useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell for more videos like this in the future. Thank you very much for watching Recycling Electronics, and I look forward to seeing you guys all on the next video.